Culture, immigration, internet, social applications, and the crisis of modern societies. The foundation of civilization. Human civilization has always been built on culture. Culture is not only a collection of language, clothing, food, and customs, but also a reflection of a nation's collective psychology, values, history, and way of life. If we look back into history, the cultures of ancient Egypt, Greece, China, the subcontinent, and the Arab world survived for thousands of years with their unique identities. Within their domains, these cultures gave humanity knowledge, art, philosophy, literature, and social systems. Preserving history and culture. Greek culture was unique for its philosophy and democracy. Roman culture provided the foundations of law and administrative structures. Islamic culture nurtured ethics, justice, science, and the arts. Chinese culture preserved family systems, discipline, and traditional values for centuries. These civilizations remained strong until they were protected from external influences. But when large-scale mixing began, their original forms started to decline. The modern age and immigration. In the 19th and 20th centuries, with the Industrial Revolution and colonial systems, Europe and America opened the doors of immigration and began granting citizenship to people of different nations. This gave rise to a new challenge. Immigrants brought their cultures with them, and gradually these began to dominate the host nations. In Europe today, we see that traditional European culture, with its specific dress, values, and languages, has been absorbed into a so-called global culture. The United States is often called a melting pot, but in reality, the original European or American culture has disappeared. What remains is a hybrid culture lacking its foundational depth. In the Middle East as well, Western influences have deeply affected family systems and Islamic values. Cultural destruction or evolution. Some scholars argue that this is evolution, that cultures naturally change over time. But the reality is that the global culture that exists today does not truly represent the identity of any nation. It is a culture created through a mixture of individual freedom, capitalism, and the internet. It retains neither traditions nor values. Individual freedom and the cultural crisis. Individual freedom is indeed an important human right. But when it is used as a cover for imposing one's culture on others, it leads to social disorder. This is the reason why many societies today have lost their original forms. Everywhere we see a mixed culture that is neither Western nor Eastern, rather, it is an artificial and soulless system. The need for immigration policy. Every nation in the world must establish a clear cultural immigration policy. 1. Every immigrant must accept the culture of the host nation. 2. Personal traditions should remain confined to the private sphere and not imposed publicly. 3. Respect for the host nation's language, laws, and values must be mandatory. 4. Protecting culture should be considered part of national security. Internet and applications, a cultural policy. Background. The world has now become a global village where every nation and society directly impacts each other's culture, traditions, and values. The internet, social media, and mobile applications have erased borders. The result is that local cultures are being suppressed, replaced by an artificial global culture that does not represent the true identity of any society. Core principles of the policy. 1. Protection of local culture. Every application, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc., should operate within the cultural limits of the country. Users should not have access to unnecessary cultural content outside their own society or nation. 2. Localization of applications. Applications must provide content relevant only to the users and culture of the specific country. Algorithms should be designed in a way that they do not promote the cultural habits of other nations. 3. Freedom of knowledge and education. Scientific, educational, technological, and research-based content should remain open to all nations. Transmission of knowledge must not be restricted, but cultural content, such as lifestyle, fashion, and entertainment, should remain locally confined. 4. Cultural filters and control. Internet browsers should include a feature called Cultural Protection Mode. Through this, users will only access content based on their national values and language. Access to foreign cultural content should only be permitted with state or societal approval. 5. Legal oversight. Governments should have the authority to enforce cultural regulations on applications according to national policies. Tech companies must comply with the cultural values, laws, and regulations of the country in which they operate. 6. Balance of culture and freedom. Users should have freedom to access knowledge and education, but cultural protection must not be compromised. This will preserve local traditions and help societies maintain their authentic identity. Immigration and cultural policy. Every civilization and culture is beautiful in its original form, but today, cultural mixing has distorted them. The real need is for every nation to preserve its culture and ensure through immigration policies that foreigners respect the host nation's culture instead of imposing their own. Internet browser and application policy. This policy will ensure that the internet and applications do not destroy the identities of local societies, but instead protect them. Knowledge and education should remain accessible to all, but cultural content must be restricted so that every nation may continue to exist with its original beauty and unique identity.